to often construct many and clever, humorous stories.
Riddles and quips.
Indeed, and I think perhaps more better it shall be that it is he who brings us a little merriment, rather than, as you did say earlier, Majesty, thus to gaze and mock and laugh at those who are perhaps more rudely cast. For this is no merriment in truth. Are you sure, good folk, that there is not a single question amongst you that you would speak? Madam?
What's that fruit there that's just been brought in? The orange?
Oh.
Here is trout, my lady, from our own fish.
The orange.
Or this, or it is a cinnamon tart.
Cinnamon.
We have the great capon here. We have Oliver's head. We have a grand salat to set before. We have manchet bread and diet bread. And here are trout straight from the ponds. And here is honeyed ham.
Your description of it, Master Matthias, of the Glamorgan uplands, good sir, that we are, in essence, semi-wild in our nature, but most hospitable in our houses. And I pray that you will, when you do leave later this day and into Brecon, that you will remember, Majesty, the hospitality
I do, indeed, I
put
do.
before you. Oh, brethren, what now do you bring? Further, good sir.
Good coney. Just was snake, sir, to provide me with 3 fair coney. And so have I set them yet in a small, simple way. But I have made me of a good blackcurrant sauce.
Oh, excellent, good, excellent. I had no mind, Stephen Matthias, that you were so skilled as a carpenter, sir.
Well, what my father oftentimes said.
I have no skill in that.
Thank you for your insights, brethren. It is oft the case with the cook, is it not, that he shall look upon the haunch of venison, he will look upon the sugared cinnamon tart, much like he would look to his own children. He will look to them. They are lovingly crafted, as I am sure that you would lovingly craft your own children to have them as you would want. And so then to see another who will set a task upon it doth cause them now some degree of consternation.
Well, he's not helping himself. Cinnamon tart.
I have no doubt, good wife, that he hath helped himself with a second cinnamon tart. That is. Oh, indeed, right.
I thought you said this fellow was reliable. Has he quite forgot himself? Perhaps he's nervous.
He is most assuredly, good sir, more reliable upon aspects of land management.
He's shivering, he's shaking, is he not? It is a wise maxim in life, sir, for a man to know what he is good at and stick to that. Do something else, sir, you fall into error, as currently you are doing. Pick and cook, but not your steward, I think.
Your Majesty, I think you should
How long will you
slightly
eat?
lenient.
How long, madam?
How long will you eat?
It depends, madam, truly, upon how many dishes are up on the board. As you see, there are sufficient profusion of them. It may be, in normal cases, it can be 1 or 2 hours, but never fast, for ceremony is an important part of dining. The Colonel honours me and honours you by showing off clean linen. This poor houses cannot afford. Just to wash linen, it's a difficult job. So therefore he has done everything in my honour, and also, I would say, in your honour. The display of glassware here, costly Venetian glasses, very expensive. These flatware from Italy, also expensive. He and his lady have laid up the very best for this day. So to rush through it would be an insult to the host and the hostess. The guest must take his time. Although we have not much time, sir, for we have business to do.
Indeed,
that's why Gerard is here with me. We have much warfare to talk about.
Now there is much to be discussed, there is much to be done, and even then, Majesty, you have need to be away and into Brecon before nightfall, and so.
Gerard, you sit here quiet, sir. It's unusual for you. Cat got your tongue, Gerard? What's wrong?
I am overwhelmed by your presence and overwhelmed by the table of the good cooking of place in front of me. I have not partaken of reasonable food for at least 3 weeks.
You've been in a camp living off bread and cheese and whatever you could forage.
Unfortunately, living in Wales, that is one of the problems with living off cheese and root vegetables.
Not so good at cheese, it is true to say. Toasted cheese. And root vegetables.
And
Your Majesty, gentlemen, I think there are many folk in the Great Hall who are not able to enter the parlour chamber at the moment. So if any have been here a while, if you would care to pass further through the house, good folk, that door will take you into the more private chambers.
Again, your mantle serves like a double.
Perhaps, good folk, if it is then a little later, if it is that you have perhaps come to some thought of any question or inquiry you would have of His Majesty, then we shall be most pleased to meet with you in the Great Hall a little later. Thus then your questions may be given.
We've gone the wrong way round. So that way you get to see.
Which is not straight away. It doesn't have a straight
Why look you so sour, good sir?
Before that, we should have
Master James, if you would hold but a few moments, sir.
We are glad of your company to hear how good you pray upon us. By and by, when the meat is served, you shall have grace, and then you may continue. What do you begin?
For it is the mark, is it not, of any godly and Christian house, that as a table is set, no matter if it is a very fine table, matters not if it is a lean table. Always thanks must be given, good folk, towards God. Doubtless that you all give thanks, do you not, each and every day, for the table that is set before you?
So,
Once the girls have their meat, sir, then we do.
indeed. That was a really pleasant evening. Your mother. And last we had to send them forth, did we not? Make room for our let's be chat.
That is shaking.
Don't be shaking.
Shaking!
Do you wish to play also with
Why not?
us?
Why not?
Come entertain us.
But by and by, first we shall have grace, we'll have grace first, and then the fellow with the fiddle, and then you, sir, with your lute, please.
And unlike Master Shenkin, pay heed now, unlike when the Lord Lieutenant were here, before Christmas last, when you begin to play, good sir, you will do it without placing your cap upon the floor first.
Begging for coins.
He had a mind, good sir, that if he would play well, that men dressed so finely in their best garb would cast not but farthings and halfpennies to him, but shillings and half crowns.
He has a skill given him by God, and approved by his own nature, so he deserves some that.
Well, this is true,
But you do for your servants well.
I try, Majesty, to pay them not only as they would expect to receive for their positions, but a little more of it. For I see that if a boy or a girl, man or woman, comes to give service in your house, then not only should they be paid well for good service, but also they should be rewarded for good loyalty. And if there is loyalty to a house, then the house is content, and a content house is a successful house.
Do you agree, good people, with the Colonel's maxim? You disagree with your opinion? You're just standing here because you're allowed in? I see. Would you take your silence for assent? I think the Colonel's words are good sense.
We agree.
We agree.
Well, a loyal workforce that will not steal the silverware is most absolutely happy. Now, sir,
By the grace of God, let us give thanks that His Majesty has been brought safely to this godly household. Let us give thanks for every single piece of food that hath been set to this table, and the work of the servants, and verily to the presence of all the gentlefolk who have come to look upon His Majesty's countenance. Let His Majesty's cause be ever saved, And let us hope that his cause will come to a peaceful and timely conclusion of the best. God save the King.
God save the King.
Well spoken, Master Matthias.
My cause will triumph in the end, and if it triumphs not with me upon the throne, Stephen Matthias, then my son Charles shall be king thereafter, Charles the second. So now to music.
Elder James, something to raise our spirits somewhat.
That is, now this is the month of May, is it not?
It is indeed, sir.
Well then, Shankin, let's see how you can do.
Oh, I think on the lips first, I don't know.
Now, to every of Shenkin's tunes, there is a tale to precede it.
Well, it is always good to explain where the tune comes from. Now, I will play for you now. It is a common tune, and it is a vulgar tune, but it is a tune now which some of you might be familiar with. It is called Kemp's Jig. Now, have you all heard of Will Kemp?
Yeah.
You have. For Will Kemp, now, he was an actor. And he did have an argument with the person who he did have plays with, a Master Shakespeare. And there they had this great argument, did it? For Shakespeare did say to Kemp, he did say, not in that voice, he wasn't Welsh. Kemp, he said, people come to see my plays. He said, they come from miles around to hear the wonderful words that I have writ. And Kemp said, nay, Shakelags. That's what we called him, Shakelags. Nay, Shakelags, he said, people come to see me because I make them laugh. They come to hear the words that I have put in, the words you haven't read. For Kemp was one to put his own words in, you see, and accompany those words with humorous gestures. Well, you can imagine what kind of words they were. Well, this argument now it did boil over, and such a heated argument it was that Kemp was thrown out of the company. Now, so you are a man of discernment, I can tell. Now, do you think this was ungrateful of Shakespeare, after all that Kemp had done for him? For Kemp, no you, did help Master Shakespeare. For they did have a theatre on the north bank. There's a river in London called the Thames. And this was built on the north bank of the Thames. And a law was passed, because of all the ungodly goings-on that happened in these playhouses, kind of place my sister would like, because of all the goings-on that was going on there, no playhouses should be built on the north bank of the Thames. So they moved the globe from the north to the south bank. They took it down timber by timber and stone by stone and rebuilt it in Southwark, on the south bank of the Thames, you see.
Now, Master Chicken, allow me, your king, sir, to interrupt. The reason that Shakespeare, or Shake Rags as Kemp so uncivilly called him, is that things move on, sir. Civilization grows apace. I keep a court that is far more chaste and moral and pure than my late father did, you see. And the way of stage plays and actors, things move from a bawdy humour that will amuse the groundlings to something more fitting for those of an educated sense. So that is why Shakespeare forced Kemp from his company, sir. But on with your tale, for I know the rest, but they perhaps do not.
Well, what happened then is Kemp now decided to go back to his hometown of Norwich. And he did not walk back home. He did not take a carriage or ride by horse, but he danced. He danced 126 miles in 9 days. It is called Kemp's 9 days wonder, and proving once and for all that Kemp was the best bell shangles twixt Zion and Mount Surrey, as he styled himself. That means a Morris dancer. And there, this tune, it was writ for that dance. It is called Kemp's Jig. Do I have your permission to sit for this? But it's not really standing up.
And although you didn't ask permission, you can still wear your hat in my presence, which should have been removed as soon as you enter the chamber. You may both sit and be covered.
Fancy.
It must be good for your last of the
Oh, forgive me, Majesty, that may be in some measure my doing, for I did bid Shenkin not to remove his hat, just to gather pennies. From those gathered.
And let the fleas escape as well. One thing that Cromwell and I do have in common is that we both do love music. Although he is a Puritan good people and would force down has already closed the theatres and by will stop Christmas tide and other such things, why, at least he enjoys music, as do we. A most civilising thing. He does well. He does well. As does the chap with the fiddle.
Well, Evan is certainly a master of his art, and it is the reason chiefly why I have engaged him as music master to the house, a position that doubtless Shenkin could have one for, but I fear he only knoweth the one tune, sir. Now, I'm in jest, Shenkin, I am in jest, sir. I know your repertoire is vast, sir, and pleasing.
Well, and do your children, madam, do they learn music?
Indeed, they do. They have been taught some good by Evan James.
And to dance and to curtsy and sing and all the things.
So for that is how they will find a goodly husband.
Exactly. All the things suitable for a young gentlewoman.
Indeed. To read and write, that will not impress a man.
They make a man feel nervous.
Indeed. For my goodly husband has said that for a woman to read and write, it makes her more cunning than a fox. Indeed, he said that. So it is more better to sing and dance and so.
Yes, yes.
Do you not agree, good gentlemen? A woman who can read and write is much like a fox that has the keys to the chicken coop. No good can come of
Well, I
it.
can't get the keys to the bars.
Well, this is it. This is the truth of it. But nay, I pride myself that I am perhaps somewhat more forward-thinking than some. For I do allow my good wife to both read and write, and my daughters, they too are learning of their letters.
And girls, you get on with each other. You are friendly to each other, yes? Very good.
They will have a good nursemaid. Mistress Ellis.
Oh.
She will spend much time with them, more than I will spend with them.
Of course, that is the way of things. You find the girls to be goodly? Are they apt for their lessons?
Indeed, they are studious.
They are behaving themselves very well, to face it. They're credit to you, mistress, a credit to you. Well, madam, I'm pleased with your household. Apart from the man cook, who has something of a buffoon about him, that big round belly, everyone else seems very well behaved.
But it is a sign of a goodly cook, is it not?
The food is excellent for people. And as I said before, when we have left, you may then fall upon the board like carrion crows upon a dead sheep, as it were. Talking of dead sheep, sir, this is very fine. If somewhat dry, it is very fine.
Well, if it pleases your majesty, then it shall please me right well. That is the truth of it.
Unlike my late father, I do not eat much. I certainly do not behave like he did. Were any of you at the court in London in the former times? No? Well, you would have seen then, good people, a sin of sin and debauchery. And I, when I became king in the year 25, was determined, good people, to bring a more elevated and a more godly and more Christian court. Because, of course, every king is gazed upon by all the other kings in Christian Europe, and by the emperor, and by the pope, and the dukes of the German states, and the Italian states, and the Holy Roman Emperor. And they will look upon the King of England, the King of Great Britain, as my father called us, England and Wales, and Scotland and Ireland, and say, how does this king keep his court? Is it a debauched, wicked court? Are there no manners? Is there no civility, no learning? And I said that was true with my father, Had my brother lived, it might have been different, but for myself, as your king, I said to myself and to God and to my wife, I shall keep a sober, a godly and discreet court. And I am the first king, the very first monarch of these islands to collect works of art, good people. I spent countless thousands upon the works of the Italian masters, ancient ones such as Giorgione and Titian, and modern masters like Rembrandt in Holland. I love art. I love music, poetry, court masks, songs. But the Puritans hate me for it. But they are not apt to understand it, madam, for they are rude people, thinking only upon God. As my father proved with his book of sports in 1619, when you have been at church on Sunday, then by all means play at football, archery, bowls, skittles, sing, dance, whatever. Use the maypole when it is time for that. Enjoy church ales. The working man and the working woman must not be suppressed and robbed of their pleasures. We cannot always think upon religion, can we?
This is the truth.
God gives us hearts to love as well as brains to think and souls to aspire towards heaven. Cromwell and his nasty, narrow-minded Puritans, they are only happy when others are miserable. No. And some of them have gone to Massachusetts in the Americas, and they're good riddance to them. Right?
I think it is the best place for those Calvinistic Presbyterians, is the very best place for them. I trust that you all here now do want to make merry, although not to such extent that we could be accused of keeping a bawdy house. Mistress, you are liking to make merry? Do not take church ale upon the Sabbath day after divine worship?
They're blushing, sir. You put them to the blush.
I think there is a
Does
case
anyone
of
keep
it.
a ball
Very
house?
naughty of you, sir. Very naughty. Two young unmarried maids like this.
It was with some intention, good sir, thus to see the looks upon their faces.
There's some of these people here are your tenants in your parlour here.
They are.
Well, you are the landlord. You are justice of the peace, are you not?
I am indeed. I am justice of the peace for the 100 of St. Kenneth.
The gentleman in the corner owes 3 months.
Oh, is that? Oh, is this the fellow?
Let them in. They're in the stopping in the doorway like assassins.
Right. Come throw yourselves in, good folk. Do not creep within the doorways like Turkish spies.
What are you saying, Matthias, that you know some of these people who owe your master money?
Oh, and 1 or 2, Your Majesty.
There have been 1 or 2 of my tenants, mark you, who have been somewhat laid low. There is one woman in particular. She hath lost now 3 sons.
Oh no! In my cause.
In defence of your cause, and she rejoices well that they died in your cause, for she is a woman true to your throne, sir. But I fear now that she has found herself reduced to such great extent that she could make no rental payment for this quarter. So I ask you, good company, what more could a good landlord do than to waive the rent for this quarter? To say to her that she hath suffered enough, that she has lost the 3 fine sons. Now, though God be praised, she is remained of 2 daughters who will care for her in her frail dotage, for her husband hath long since departed to God's good mercy. So no rental payment shall be for this quarter.
Do you think he acts well in this?
Indeed.
So I think you show the judgment and wisdom of Solomon, so you do most well.
Oh, ramsey much.
Gerard, you will not be so kind, will you? A man of your fiery temper, Sir, Mars is the god that you serve, the god of war, not the god of peace. He's eating. I've never heard him so quiet before. Too terrified.
Well, I will take it as conscious as this master bled in. Perhaps it is that the meat hath been cooked so very finely that he would not have any part out of his mouth.
Anyway, so you do a good thing. This poor woman you spoke of. Is she here today? I would meet her.
I have not yet seen her to pass through, Majesty.
I would meet her, really.
Well, perhaps it is that so many folk now have taken leave of their labours this day and thus come now to join with us in this withdrawing chamber, and that I have little doubt that she will pass through either sooner or later. If so, then, if it please your Majesty, then I will make introduction to you of her.
And there is room upon the Colonel's daybed, good people. Those that skulk by the door, they may sit if they choose.
I must confess, good folk, it troubles me somewhat that you have no one to draw within. Perhaps it is now that you are listening for some intelligence, thus you may return it to your masters, perhaps now to hinder the king in his cause. Is this so, madam?
Go and serve Parliament. Do you trust, do any of you trust politicians? Quod erit demonstrandum. Thus it is demonstrated. Thus not. Would you rather be ruled by a king who loves you, or parliament who hates you and forces you to do things? Whom you cannot trust.
Is it not the case, good folk, that it is the natural order of things that the parents shall love the child? Now, it is true that on occasion the child shall misbehave, perhaps do not as it has been, but still it is the natural order that the parent shall continue to love the child. Now, the men of Parliament, why, they do not look upon you as their children. They would look upon you as, some will say they look to you as their equals, but that cannot be the case. They think not this. But a king who is born in most natural fashion to be king of a land, he will look upon you as his children. Therefore, can it not be then the most natural thing to be regarded as his children? Oh, faith, brethren, what is this now that you brought before us, sir?
Just tried, Sirrah.
Sirrah?
Again, my apologies for the
He
foul.
insults you, sir, by calling you Sirrah.
Have you tested the balance?
But, what is his cook's name?
This is Bledin.
Bledin. For all of your scurvy manners, sir, yet your food is as eloquent as any fine gentleman. I shall have you, sir, when these wars are done, join me at Hampton Court Palace, and there you shall be my man cook, above even the French cook. And that will make him angry, for he is French, he will hate you, Sir Rushman, but you will serve better.
I did suggest earlier this day, Your Majesty, that Bledin would like to accompany us on our journey this day.
What a fine conceit. We're cook for the army upon the march, the officers, of course.
He turned me down inside.
Did he? Would he turn down a royal command, think you, General?
I think not.
I think he would not.
Well then, if the king asked questions I asked you along, that you would accompany us north, would you refuse? Have you refused me?
Sir, I would take on board the words of His Majesty the King. I would be honoured, in truth, to have the King consider me to be so fair a cook that he would choose me. But, sir, as you all know, I am but a serving man. I am a servant born into a lowly house. I take my lead from my master, a wise, good, honest man, and if he do consider me worthy to journey with the king, then perhaps I might. Who shall?
I trust.
Indeed, fair words, brethren. Then I shall say, as it is now expected, and indeed my duty to make contribution to the king's cause, and that I shall, and in as generous a fashion as my means will allow me, then I think perhaps it shall not hurt this house overmuch if you would accompany the king's troop, at least perhaps some way upon their journey, until mayhap a suitable replacement can be found. Not at this house, for I must confess, I would not do without you, brethren, for any great length of time.
Well, only as far as Raglan, or Chester, as far as Chester, and then return again to your master.
Where is Chester?
It's a mythical land to the north of here.
You will like Chester, brethren, it is famed, good sir, for its perry.
Oh, sounds good to me.
As far as Chester, and then return to your master. That will suit as well. Now, another, some music from your fiddle player. You as well.
Yeah. At your will, as you would. Whatever it will please you to play there, Master James.
Excellent.
Excellent, everyone. Excellent. Now, I wonder, good folk, for it is a rare opportunity, and indeed a rare honour, to have your king here now before you. Now, as is proper, you have come, you have seen to gaze upon your king, but now I wonder, are there any amongst you who would perhaps wish to petition the king if there is any question, if you seek clarification on any matter of the king's cause? Then I am sure His Majesty would be most pleased to attempt to give some answer. Anything that you would know, good folk, if there is any question that you would have.
You're pleased with your taxes, are you? That as well. Normally, so that's what people start off with. In former times, when I sat in Hampton Court Palace, but you must understand, this time I am not sitting upon my throne with a canopy of estate behind and above me. No, I am in the gentleman's parlour here. A parlour from the French to talk, so let us talk in such a place. With my host and hostess and my good general here upon my left side. Yes, young fellow.
How did you become king?
Because my brother died, he should have been king. Henry. How old are you, young fellow?
9.
9. Oh, he was some 13 years of age. So somewhat older than you. All of Britain, all of my countries wanted him to become king. Because Henry, like his namesake, Henry VIII, was good at jousting, wrestling, archery, bowls, tennis, dancing, music, singing. He would have made a most excellent king. I had thought, because he was Prince of Wales and I was Duke of York, which is the second son to a king, of course. I had thought, young fellow, I was fitted to be a clerk or be in holy orders in a monastery or some such. For religion deeply interests me. Alas, God took Henry to his bosom, and I therefore had to become king, straight from Duke of York to King of Great Britain. That's how I became king in the year 1625. I had not wished for it, and now here we are, involved in a war in which Britain fights Britain. A sad, melancholy time, which I did not see.
And here then is some good lesson for you younglings. For some, it is said, who are born to greatness, and others will have it put upon them. So then, what better inspiration for His Majesty here now, not born for kingship, but laid upon him, and see now the fine work that he undertakes. There is your inspiration.
A good question, boy. I thank you for it. Anyone else? Yes, the young maid, and then you again, good sir.
Do you live in a castle?
What did you say?
Do you live in a castle?
Yes. I do. Windsor Castle is a castle. Hampton Court Palace is a palace. St James's Palace is a palace. Some you will call castles, others are palaces. Henry VIII, when he died, had some 60 places he could call his own homes. No king must have only one home, because that would be a very poor king. He must have many homes, and he travelled from place to place. Some are castles, and soon I'm going to Raglan Castle, which is a beautiful place.
It is a most wondrous and fine place indeed. Perhaps you will seek great tribute for this, for I hear now that the income there is some £68,000 in a year, Majesty.
I can well believe it. Keeps it fine stuff. Yes, young fellow.
I don't really... You became king in the 16s, yeah?
1625.
Yeah. But how are you still alive when it's 2000?
Because it's 1620, because it's 1645. So 20 years ago. I'm still alive. I can live 20 years without dying, actually. Curious.
We've been another 20.
You must join us, sir, upon our journey, and then you shall see things as we do. I should force you to stand without your hat on in front of your king, but I shall let that pass. Manners make a man, eh, ladies?
Do you think, young boy, that you would give your courage to the king's cause?
Okay.
That you would
He doesn't even know what you're saying, he's saying. There's a brave active spirit.
Often, Majesty, that is how we gain some of the finest soldiers, is it not?
Yes, he will die in the battle. And then, madam, are you the child's grandmother, may I proceed? Then once a year, madam, upon the anniversary of his death in battle, you may weep a grandmother's tear upon his grave and feel comforted by that. There's a blessing.
While still, though you may rejoice in that the boy would have given his life in defence of his king, I ask you what soldier could do more with folk.
Indeed.
But is there anything else that any would wish to know?
It's a tennis match.
Indeed it is.
Yes, young maid, you have to serve. Am I rich? Of course I'm rich. Not as rich as I was, though. Not as rich as King Henry VIII was when he became king. No, I'm not rich enough. Do you know why I'm not rich anymore? Because I spent lots of money upon paintings. Do you see the painting there upon the wall of the colonel and his lady and the children? Well, I have many, many such paintings made by foreign artists whom I much admire, and they cost a great deal of money. And a few years ago, before this war happened, young lady, I had at my court many parties and dances, and people wore masks and dressed up. That was expensive, and that was most excellent. But the Puritans, my enemies, hated such things, and they forced me to stop. I still have money, of course, but I am the king. Not as much as I need, because I need more money. Which is why, sir, I'm here as a curious segue. I need money, sir. Gerard, help me in this. So we need money, we need men, we need horses, we need wagons, we need cannons.
In due time?
In due time, sir, yes.
In due time, the good gentlemen of Glamorgan have promised us 1,000 men and £700. This is agreed. I think we need not trouble the good colonel with such talk at his dinner table.
You are right, sir. You are right. We shall wait until the audience later, and we shall talk then of the peaceable army and the Welsh in posture of defence. There is money, but there needs to be more money. And the gates will be closed until you voluntarily contribute. So. Yes, sir. You're the first in the fray.
You have another question, boy?
Yeah.
What is it then?
How did you die?
I hope, young fellow, I will be dying of old age upon my throne. I somehow suspect it will be a rather mental and different ending. I think what God himself and perhaps Parliament proposes is somewhat different. I imagine what they will do is to force me from England, and I shall go and live in France. And my son, Charles, shall be king hereafter. But Parliament will first rule. And when they rule, they have already abolished playhouses. There's no acting, there's no theatres. Although they like music, they do not care for much other fun. They will soon abolish Christmas by and by, it would not surprise me. And then, young fellow, you and everyone else in this room must live, who knows how many years, under the rule of Cromwell and his saints, these Puritans who hate fun. That is the world you are welcome to, and I am no longer king here in Britain. I shall die, hopefully, in my bed, but you never know. I have not seen my wife for almost a year, and I miss her so terribly. I hope she is well with the children. I get letters, but what else can I do? I must be here. She gives me advice the whole time. I never know what to do. My generals say one thing, she says another thing. But my bishops say another thing. What would King Henry VIII have done? He would have known what to do. I cannot know what to do.
He did have 6 wives.
That's true, he didn't know what to do.
He didn't know what to do.
Although the fellow did keep trying.
You must give him that.
I am the only king of these islands in the current time, madam, to not keep a mistress. Ladies, I love my wife, and she loves me. And unlike the French king, or the Holy Roman Emperor, or the Spanish king, and the Pope, they all have mistresses. I do not. Once one is married, one should stay married. It is a holy thing before God.
I am of a similar mind, Majesty, that is the truth.
Forgive me, Your Majesties, gentlemen, my lady, I must give notice to the assembled folk here that within 2 minutes there will be a demonstration of falconry on the meadow, which is beyond the walls of the garden. And you are very welcome to go look at it. And that will begin in 1 or 2 minutes.
And then will they return to us for an audience?
They will return for the audience at 2 o'clock.
Very well.
Oh, excellent.